Hi guys, and welcome to my podcast, Coffee with Rogue. This is where I get together with my fellow creators and take a sneak peek behind the scenes on their lives and how content creation affects them. So, let's meet our guests. So my guest this time is the wonderful friend of mine. I have known him for like 4 years at this point. It's been such a long time. Incredibly hardworking, one of the chillest dudes that I've ever met. He is my favorite Canadian, community manager for the Mr. Happy Army, and horror enthusiast, TequilaShots1500. Welcome, it's good to have you.
Thank you.
It's so good to be able to have like a conversation with friends like this. When I was talking to Amali last, it was just like the most super comfiest thing. But we got a lot out, and I wanted to talk to you about, your streaming journey. So first of all, do you want to explain to everyone why you started streaming and, where you've come from?
Oh, God. Well, it's good to chat here with you, first of all. Podcast or not, this is pretty regular, I think, for us.
Yeah.
So you want to know how I got into streaming, or what's?
Let's start with why you got into streaming.
Well, why was pretty circumstantial. My start to streaming obviously was a weird sort of experience. Not weird, it was amazing. Those of you that don't know, I started my stream through a certain somebody else's stream. My journey began through Mr. Happy. I've been modding there for years, and we discussed and decided to try something for Stormblood back, God, 4 years plus now.
Oh my God, don't remind me.
Isn't it crazy? It's been that long. So Stormblood was about to launch in 14, and he wanted to do a marathon style stream. I think his inspiration was from Towley and D Carter. They do the same thing for WoW, and so we wanted to do something similar for 14. So he invited me to participate and basically do a bit of a relay on his channel. We were going to keep his channel running live 24/7 for X amount of days to celebrate the launch. So I gladly accepted, and I flew out there and participated. But the thing is, I never streamed before, ever.
Yeah, like your journey, like the start of your experience with streaming in general is like so unique.
Yeah. So it was definitely very different. Different way to get into it. I was super lucky and super thankful and terrified. It was amazing. But like I said, I never streamed before. So there's so much that you got to pick up on when you're in front of the camera. Mind you, I was not on camera during that. He made sure that I wanted to be as comfortable as I could. And, when you start streaming, there's a lot that you have to sort of anxiety and get used to certain things. If you're not used to it, you have to get used to being in front of a camera. You have to get used to potentially hearing your own voice. You have to get used to holding conversation, or especially if it is quiet and people aren't engaging. There's a lot.
You mean
to
you
it.
just don't just play games? What the hell?
You can do that, but for a lot of people that do, it doesn't
work out.
No, it doesn't. So you have to be willing to sort of put yourself out there and whatnot. And so I did. I put myself out there. I was very grateful because I've been part of the Hap Army community for so long. So, it wasn't like I was a total stranger. It was just people weren't used to hearing me. I was just a mod in the chat, but I was there all the time. So people were comfortable having me there. And of course, my very first stream, if those of you who played Stormblood remember, Rabon Extreme.
Of course.
Was my first stream.
The best first experience.
Yeah, my first day was sitting in the queue and the virtual line and all that shenanigans, sitting in the login queue of like thousands. So imagine never streaming before, and you can't stream any content, and you're just trying to vamp for the first time, and it's the middle of the night.
How did that feel? Like, that must have been terrifying.
I was very nervous, but they were good about it. Mike and Mel participated too. She jumped in so I could have a bit of a break, especially because I wasn't used to being, um, you know, in this sort of space for hours at a time.
Yeah.
I hadn't conditioned myself to do 4, 5, 8, 10 hour streams. Um,
Oh, how things have changed.
yeah, yeah. Takes a lot of it takes a lot to get used to that sort of stuff. Try to
Yeah.
anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so yeah, that was my first experience. So I did that on and off for a week, and everybody's support was amazing. Everybody enjoyed the content. They enjoyed listening to me chat. They enjoyed my gameplay and all that sort of stuff. And based on feedback, I got a lot of questions. Do you stream? Do you stream? Are you going to stream? Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And so I did. I got back, and a couple weeks, I think, by the time I had the proper equipment and stuff set up, I already had my PC and everything. So I was just getting the stream stuff set up.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sort of took off from there. And I've been streaming ever since.
Oh God, so you've been streaming for 4 years now, right? Because I was looking
Yeah,
at it
4
the other
plus.
day, like my resub to you is like what, 50 months,
Yeah, something like that.
and like I was in the founders, one
Oh
of those.
yeah, one of the
Oh
OGs.
yeah.
Of
So
course.
like it's crazy to think it's been that long. It feels like a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah, it's
my
been a
God. So,
yeah.
like when when you got into it, and like say like the first 6 months, and you were getting your feet wet, like what was your focus on it? Like, how did you go from, oh my God, I'm in the Hap army and I'm, being a mod, and I'm this one voice that nobody knows, but to, oh my God, okay, I'm doing this now and I'm enjoying it, and like how did that feel?
Uh Pretty invigorating, I guess. Exciting and kind of scary, and like with the streaming, it always had its ups and downs. It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
Lot of fumbles along the way, which comes with the territory, of course. There's a lot that I needed to learn, a lot of research on everything from setting up OBS to messing with audio quality to, I mean,
Oh, we
but
love the tech issues.
oh God, yeah, there's the technical issues. That's right. They still happen now.
Yeah.
Newsflash for new streamers, it happens even 4 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Literally before doing this, my camera wasn't working.
Yay.
Um, yeah, so it never ends. You just learn to try to fix it faster, I guess.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a juggle, and then from there, it was really just finding my footing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different time because I was, of course, and still am heavily focused in 14 because that's where, it's where I met so many people. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so we just kept grinding out with 14, and then eventually started to dabble in other things and whatnot. And schedule was a nightmare. Um, for almost 3 years. During that time, I was working part time, so that was a interesting hurdle to juggle because I couldn't be consistent. There was no consistency.
Yeah.
As much as I wanted it to be, it would be, okay, I'm going to stream in the morning. Okay, I'm going to stream in the afternoon. Okay, I got to cancel. I got to move it to tomorrow, and then I got
That's
to
right.
cancel it again because
Uh-huh.
my job was I'm very much on call, or at least I
Mm-hmm.
was at that time. So I had to work days, I had to work afternoons, I had to work nights, and to juggle stream time anywhere in between. So it was inconsistent at best, but it's been a I don't want to say a grind, but it's been a long climb, I guess,
Yeah.
to even get to where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to some people, everybody's journey is different, and that's something that you have to always remember is that um, everybody's journey, everybody's pacing is different. I felt like mine took it took a longer time to get where I am as opposed to A, B, C, or D, which is fine.
Yeah.
Um, so that was definitely one of the um things I had to get used to. It started from being a hobby to being more than that, I guess. It's certainly
Yeah.
more of a business, alongside still hobby-ish, I guess, but it's definitely something that I invested into.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't give up no matter whatever bullshit came along the way.
And there's definitely always ups and downs. And I mean, when you talk about your schedule and stuff, I remember you would get like miss phone calls from the job, and it'd be like, okay, I'm on call, but you know, I'm gonna have to take this shift or whatever, and it was like just normal part of your content, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. It became routine. I'd be streaming and all of a sudden my phone would ring. I'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
And it would be one of those things where it's like, okay, I gotta end stream because they need me to come to work in a couple hours. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
So
I hated it. I always felt guilty. I couldn't stand having to flip flop all the time.
yeah.
It was definitely one of my biggest gripes. Um, and even now, I guess not so much now. I feel much busier now that I'm full time and streaming every day. But um, yeah, during that time and just trying to, I don't know, ground myself, I guess, in the streaming space at the
Mm-hmm.
time. It was a lot to juggle, but I made it work.
Yeah. It couldn't have been difficult. I mean, as your friend, obviously we've spoken about this a lot.
Oh yeah.
And it's definitely been a journey for you. I mean, looking at it now and like how things are now, do you feel like, okay, I'm in a much better space now? Because you have like a more regimented schedule now, which, I do see you working hard with that schedule, and you know you're trying to fit in life as well. You're going to work and you're going to the gym and stuff. Like how do you like manage that? Because I look at it and I go, I couldn't do that, dude.
Um, Caffeine pills and alcohol get me through most of it.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
um, no, it's much more regimented, which was what I wanted.
Mm,
Um, so like I said, I've been full time at my job now for a year. Well, more than that. I Before I officially became full time, I was covering for other staff who were off on certain sick leave and stuff. So I've been
yeah.
working straight night shifts for over 2 years now,
Oh wow.
something like that. Yeah. Um, so I was looking forward to the consistency and schedule, but again, it's an adjustment because now I have to stay up all night and then I come home and then I stream before I go to bed, or at least most days I do.
Yeah.
Um, the schedule's nice. That was something I value a lot. Um, Being able to be like, okay, I'm gonna be on these days a week at this time,
Mm.
and even then I still struggle with it. I actually just started implementing evening streams because I'm trialing a new raid group in 14. So now I'm
Oh
starting
my
doing a couple
god.
evening streams and people come in and they're like, dude, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I know you're not used to it. So as they get
Yeah.
so accustomed to a certain time, it's like TV. I think of it like a TV schedule.
Yeah,
You get
exactly.
used to watching your favorite show X amount of
Mhm.
days at a certain time of every week or whatever. Um, but yeah, I my schedule almost feels busier, but it's much
Mhm.
more structured, if anything. So I am
Mhm.
grateful for that.
Yeah.
How I balance it, I don't know.
But do you get a chance to see family very often and friends?
No, not so much these days. At least, I mean, it's situational. Obviously, COVID certainly
Yeah.
hindered that even more so. But I do try and make time, especially on weekends.
Mhm.
Uh, and I do allow myself certain days off when it comes to it. I think the biggest frustration for me is when I have family or friends trying to contact me last minute,
Mhm.
like, "Hey, want to do this tonight?" And I'm like, "I can't. I'm already doing this
Yeah.
thing with the stream." Or even with work, even with my job,
Mhm.
they'll contact me and I'm like, "I stayed up streaming all day." It happens on Friday sometimes, right? So I get off there Friday morning and then my weekend begins. I work Monday through Friday.
Mhm.
And I'll stay up all day streaming, and it's like, I haven't slept in 15 plus hours. And then one
Oh
of my friends will
god.
message me, be like, "Hey, want to go out tonight or going to hang?" I'm like, I haven't slept.
Oh god.
I can't.
You
So
it brings its
it's
own issues then.
oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's normal for a lot. And it's funny because I've been thinking about like even what kind of hours and stuff I put in. Do I consider myself I work full time. Do I consider myself a full-time streamer? Because I stream every day
Yeah.
unless I have to take a day off. But pretty much a week for me, or I guess every 2 weeks. No, I put in like 40 plus hours at work and I stream 30 plus hours a week.
Dude,
Um,
that's a full-time job.
yeah.
That's crazy.
So,
You work two full-time jobs.
yeah. So I try to make it work and I always make time. My communities, obviously, have all been
Yeah.
really good about it. If I have to, um, and if something comes up, I'm not afraid to be like, okay, listen, I've made plans. I'm going to the
Hmm.
beach. I got plans later tonight, so I'm either going to end stream early
Yep.
or we're going to just not do stream tomorrow because I'm probably tired or hungover or whatever I've been up to.
Yeah.
But overall, it's tough. It's tough to balance even without the streaming stuff, especially with the schedule I have. Um, People want to hang out in the evenings or whatever, and I work at night, so unless I've slept,
Yeah.
so it's weird. It feels very backwards at times. And it's
Do you
just
ever think like with the kind of like the amount of work that you're putting in and the time, do you ever feel like you're getting burnout or like you're just kind of like I need a break from this?
sure. It's never felt that way long term.
Yeah.
I think I think there's definitely days where it's just like I can't stream today.
Yeah.
I need either sleep or I just need a breather or I need to go outside for God's sake.
Yeah.
Um I've never felt the need to like I need to take an extended break. Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. I mean it's common and I think that happens more when it comes to full-time content creators. And now these are people who I consider who not only stream X amount of hours every day, but produce so much additional content outside.
Yeah.
You know, it's the whole entrepreneur business model where work you basically never not work. You're always doing something or you're always thinking about something, and it consumes quite a bit of time. So
Yeah.
um, I have had moments of being like tired and like I would say like minor burnout.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, like I the time I'm not streaming, it's time that I'm also away from my computer because I'm at work or I'm at the gym or whatever. So I get time away from being in front of the screen and doing this and this and this and this, and then I come back to it every morning, and you know what? It's kind of nice. I also only stream for 4 to 6 hours unless it's a weekend or whatever. So to
Mhm.
even get a 4 hour stream in, it's considered short term. Consider there's people who stream
Yeah,
7, 8, 9 hours
which is
every day.
crazy. Like I just I don't know how they do it. Like
So
there's people out
yeah.
there that stream 12 hours a day and then still have, 4 YouTube videos up a day and you're like, "What? Holy shit."
Yeah, that's insane, but
Mhm.
it's what I wouldn't say it's what they have to do, but it's an important part of full-time content creation, that's for sure. Especially if they're generating a regular income or they rely on that income from monetization or subs or whatever it comes from.
Yeah.
Um, they need to produce that content on the regular if they can to progress or stay where they're at or whatever like that. So I mean, at least from a financial, I guess, point of view. You know, I still have a job to keep me afloat. That from that sort of angle, but
Mhm.
it comes with the territory, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, financial things when it comes to streaming, like people don't talk about it a lot, but the setup for streaming, when you get into it, when you start investing, like you spend a lot of money doing what you do. It's it's more than what people like to talk about because it's between equipment and art and you're putting also your time is people don't realize just how full time it's not just how
Yeah,
long you're streaming, but it's the other stuff and it's the community management you're doing and your own social media manager and there's so much to do.
yeah, it's a heavy investment, especially if you want to see results. It requires you to go that sort of extra mile and
Hmm.
to be creative not only on stream but outside of stream in those outside hours. And yeah, you're completely right about financial investment and stuff. Now you can get away with some very minimal stuff,
Yeah.
and people are just perfectly fine. You don't need, and I do think it's true. You don't need the fancy microphone. You don't need the fancy mixers or whatever like that. But it does help.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it does. It
So
improves your setup a lot.
yeah, it really does, and improves the quality. To me, uh, one of the biggest things that I recommend more than anything is good audio more than anything else.
Yeah.
Um, you don't have to be in front of the camera if you don't want to, especially these days with
Mm.
VTubers
Ah.
really taken away. But good audio is my like biggest recommendation.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a bitch to set up. I still struggle with audio like every day.
Me too. I still think I don't have my mixer set up right.
No, no.
I'm just like, okay, I've got it. It's kind of working. I'll deal with it.
Yep. Even
So,
last night, I streamed last night and my sub alerts just stopped making noise.
oh my God.
Yeah. See, it never ends.
Yeah, I think that happened to me the other day, and I was like, oh, I pressed a button somewhere else. And even like yesterday, I was doing something, a recording, and there was one button that I needed to press to make everything
Mhm.
work, and I didn't do it. It was just like, okay.
Womp womp womp.
Yeah, so we're well used to technical issues for sure.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can. What?
I want to know again from the stream side. I've been super curious about the process for you and the VTuber. I want to know a little bit about your model and like how was it preparing and setting that up? I'm kind of just genuinely curious.
Well, it was essentially the first part of it was me trying to figure out like what I wanted to look like. So I did a lot of research into different things, and my biggest inspiration came from my Final Fantasy 14 Mikote, my character.
Of course.
So there's various, like you'll see similarities and certain things that like my hair and my outfit is very similar, or inspired by. Um, but yeah, like I contacted an artist and I said, look, this is what I'm looking for. I gave her a bunch of references, and she just blew my mind with, what she brought together. She
Mhm.
really went above and beyond what I was expecting. So I lucked out with my artist, and then she had a person she recommended for doing the rigging. So I have no idea about rigging. So I was just like, I
Yeah.
trust you. Please make sure it's right. And he also went above and beyond. It was insane. So and he was really helpful with the setup and stuff, because I was like, I don't know what any of these programs do. Can you help?
Yeah, is the
So
rigging thing is it super complicated?
yeah, like it's live 2D modeling, so I don't even know. Basically, everything that moves, my rigger did it. He did everything. So down to, my hair moving, my boobs jiggling, my pupils in my eyes going bigger or smaller. Like it's
Yeah.
all done with this, like the rigging he's done. Shout out to Darky Dono for that. It is amazing.
Yeah, they
Um,
did such a good job.
yeah, and I get a lot of like compliments on it, because I think there's a lot of variety in terms of art style and model and stuff like that. And some people, I think, have also experienced some really bad rigging, which
Yep.
has meant that things don't move quite right. And I'm just really lucky that I got someone who knows what they're doing, thankfully.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you have to do a lot of research. Research is like huge, because I didn't have a clue like what I was supposed to do.
Oh,
And you go with what other people recommend, and I don't even remember how I found the artist so that I found the rigger, honestly. So I don't know how that happened. Um, but from a technical standpoint, like it gives me a lot of more flexibility as well, not just for being off cam, but as a figure on cam with my model. Like I can add different items, and I can dress up with Halloween stuff, for example, or Christmas
cool.
items, or there's one day I could be sitting, I'll have a scene set up, and it'll be like, hey, I'm just sitting here with my coffee, and I'm like, just like I would any other day, like you see it and there's steam coming off it. Like GIFs and PNGs and all that stuff
Very
they're
animated. No, it's very
so
cool.
powerful. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Would you ever
That's
be a
again.
VTuber?
No, 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 no. Chat already asked me that. They're like, so when's your V2 model coming?
Yeah, it's not for
Never.
everyone.
it's it's not for me. I think it's very cool. I
Yeah.
can't imagine the setup. That's why I was genuinely curious. I've never looked into it.
Yeah.
It's not something that interests me personally.
Mm.
Um, I think chat likes seeing me on camera. They like the stupid shenanigans and the dumb faces I'm making when I'm,
Take
you know,
focus.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that the on-screen presence for me works for me
Yeah,
and my channel. So no, personally I don't have any intention of that. It's actually been so long since I've done like a no cam stream. That's very common with a lot of people. Going back to the whole burnout situation. Some days you're
yeah,
tired and you feel like crap and you look like crap. And you're just like, I don't want to be on camera today.
for sure.
I've had to push myself through a lot of those days because I used to do it early into my streams. Um, and I noticed, and it's funny because you take a look at some of those things down the line, and I can tell you the handful of times I did no cam streams,
Hmm.
um, just didn't do as well. Less
Yeah,
interaction, less viewership, just in general. I just find they didn't work as well, and I think it works for people who are already used to not being on camera. There's people who make it work for them.
yeah,
But for I guess someone like myself who's more used to being in front of the camera, when you're not, I think it actually throws people off a little bit. So
hmm,
um, I've taken that information in the past, and I've sort of concluded that on-screen presence does better overall. So I sort of just suck it
yeah,
up, um, and I make it work for me. So
yeah.
I've gotten used to it, and no matter how tired I feel, that's the worst. Honestly, that's the worst part. Going back to the whole night shift thing, I hate streaming after my night shift. I mean, I like my time slot, but it's so hard to be like, "Hey, energetic, yada yada.
Oh,
I've
I
just been up all
know. You're
night,"
like,
and I'm
I'm a
yawning
zombie.
every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's hard. I honestly, I'm super self-conscious when I yawn. I mean, I have the tech yawn emote now, but I do. I get self-conscious. I'm like, they think I'm probably so bored. I'm like, I'm probably generating this
Aw.
really like laid back, boring energy when really it's just like, dude, I need sleep soon. That's
I
all it
don't think
is. I'm
anyone
enjoying
thinks.
myself. I promise. I'm just,
Yeah.
I can't, some days I just can't hide it.
Dude, I can't hide it even as a VTuber.
Yeah.
I yawn, like, I'm just gonna do it. I don't care. You're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
gonna
What are
have
you
to
going to do?
accept I'm tired.
Yep. That's the way I see it. Just accept.
Yeah.
Even last night, again, I swapped evenings last night, and we were getting late, and then the yawn started coming, and chat's like, "Uh-oh." I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna be that time."
But it's kind of like it's almost bonds you with your community because they know, and they can make
Mhm.
fun of you for it, and it's just it's light teasing, but that's how you bond with your community a lot of the
It
time.
is. Yeah, I completely agree. You have these little quirks and little things that happen, and especially the regulars,
Yeah.
they know it and they see it, and they can make fun or make light jokes or whatever, and most of it's very fine. I often make fun of it myself. So it's those little things over time that help strengthen a community. As goofy as it sounds, we're talking about
Yeah.
yawning, but you know what? It's become an ongoing sort of, not quite a shenanigan, but it's a thing. I don't want to brand myself as a sleepy streamer, but it's it comes with the territory, and they know it.
Yeah, for sure. I think I think it for me what it tells me is you just gotta be yourself, and if that means that you're a sleepy streamer, you're a sleepy streamer.
Yeah.
Because no matter what comes out of it, usually you'll find that it becomes a trademark or something, or a community joke, or
Hmm.
stuff like that. Um, it's like with me, I kill my tanks all the time in 14, so now that's a thing that we make a joke about.
Hmm.
It's just one of those things, and I don't mind it anymore. Um, so yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. See, in terms of your community, how do you feel like you've gone from when you started streaming to now, like as a community leader? Like, do you feel that you're stronger in that now?
uh I guess to a degree, community leader is something that I strive for.
Hmm.
I personally don't feel that I'm quite there yet. Um, but I have cultivated somewhat of, I mean, I've definitely cultivated a community, of course.
Yeah.
And when I think of community leader, I think 14 specifically, but um, I will say that I've created a space that people aren't afraid to come in and to ask the dumb questions, or to ask the very simple things, or to ask for help or just want advice. I think it's funny, even just to incorporate streaming. A lot of people, a lot of streamers, which I think is weird, like don't self promote, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I like encourage it. I'm like, you stream? What do you stream? How do you ever struggle with ABC? Just like we all do.
Yeah.
It's I definitely created a space where people can comfortably come in and be themselves, just like I do. I think they like. I do hear. I suppose I hear chill or cozy are often words that get associated, but um, as a community leader, that's something I continue to strive for. I want to do better. I know, especially in this last expansion, being able to help others, not even in game, but a lot of the time it is with game, whether it's um, helping them in game with A,
Mhm.
B, or C, or helping them with advice, or just answering simple questions. I found that I do enjoy, and I find I do thrive better when I know that I've helped you with either answering something or something in game, or I don't know, something like that. So uh, it's something I'm striving to be better at. I think, but I think my community is pretty comfortable with coming in and either being a part or asking those types of things. So I try to generate as much conversation out of it as I can, and um, I know people are pretty happy, I think, and pretty thankful that I've taken the time to
Mhm.
answer whatever that they want to know,
Yeah, for
even
sure.
if I don't have the answer. And usually, if I don't have the answer, chat usually backs me up. They'll ask
Yeah.
me stuff, and I'm not about to like spout some bullshit. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm sure someone in here has the answer for that. So
I
good
can
luck.
confirm. Yep. I definitely think that people are comfortable to ask you questions, and if you don't know, you're comfortable saying I don't know, and chat will help. I know that's 100% true. Um, because I'm your mod, which I
Yeah, you
actually,
are.
which means I can ban people.
That's right. You don't like the answer, you're banned.
Bonk. It's really no, I really love being a moderator for your channel. I do think that your community is like a really nice. You have a really nice bunch of regulars that come in that are lovely, um, and you have definitely fostered this comfortable community for sure. So I think you're a great community leader. I think you do great at what you do, and
Thank you.
the fact that you're striving to always improve is only a good thing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I have you around. Ow.
Don't be a sap.
All right.
So I wanted to ask you about the dreaded P word. Can you guess?
E word. No.
Partner.
Oh, that one.
Partner.
Dun dun
Done.
dun.
You had a bit of a journey with getting to partner, didn't you? Because you got there
Oh
recently.
my god. Yes. That was hellish.
Yeah.
Partner did not come easy.
No. So
Uh yeah, where do you want to start?
I mean, start wherever you like. Like when did you first apply and how did it go from there?
Well, I first applied um back before, so this was I first applied, I mean, I applied within like my first year. I looking back, of course I wasn't getting a partner, which is
Did you
fine. I
think you
did
were
it for
ready?
I wasn't sure. Most of it was sort of shits and giggles. Part of it was just out of genuine curiosity.
Yeah.
At that time, they didn't implement like affiliate wasn't a thing yet. Um, and so those of you who have like the stream manager, there's those affiliation guidelines. You have to
Mhm.
qualify for ABC, and then of course the dreaded 75 viewer. Um, Back then that still wasn't a thing, so you never knew what technically qualified.
Yeah.
So of course I applied early in, before, like I said, before I was affiliate, because affiliate didn't exist. um and of course I got turned down. I wasn't heartbroken. I was more just genuinely curious.
Mhm.
um as time went on, I didn't apply super frequently. I felt almost like a once to maybe twice a year. In the end, um as I progressed, uh I knew I had hit like at this point affiliate was out, so I had
Mhm.
hit all these different markers. And looking back at it now, I can see where I faulted. Um it was more like in the last, I would say almost in the last year plus, where it got a lot more stressful because I was actually within rights, not within rights, but within reason to be genuinely qualified,
Yeah.
and to still get turned down. That part was very troublesome.
Yeah.
So I think it took a lot. I really had to push. I didn't push too hard. Like I said, I would wait till I had these moments where stream felt like everything was going really well.
Yeah.
Streams were consistent, kind of here and there. I mean, as a part time employee before I started full time, it was all over the place. And looking back now, what I know, the inconsistency was always there. Um,
Hmm.
I may hit, peak viewership a couple times, but I wasn't hitting it regularly enough. And then I would say, how long is it? At least a year plus now, or probably more than that. Is where after I started getting full time,
Hmm.
after I started working full time, and I started streaming every morning. This, everything was a lot more consistent across the board, um, and I was within range, so I started applying a little bit more. In the end, it took me just under 4 years, 3 years and I don't know, 3 years and like 10 months,
How
11
many
months,
times
no,
did you apply?
7.
7.
I think
Wow.
7 overall.
Mm.
7 overall, and at least I would say at least 3 to 4 of them were like legit ones. I think the
Yeah.
worst one was I hit everything they asked for. I applied. Didn't hear from Twitch for 6 weeks.
Oh,
And
this
it
is a regular
the
story.
mental strain of trying
Yes.
to keep viewership up, 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 and I held it for so long.
Oh,
And then for them to be like, "Nope, maybe next time." After that, I, like, plummeted. It was so
yeah.
hard mentally to, like, maintain it. It's a
Mm.
tough thing mentally when especially when, like, there's times when you're kinda like, you kinda just apply and hope, and then there's times where
Hmm.
you're like, at that time, I was confident. I'm like,
Yeah.
"I have a legit chance at this. I've done everything they asked me for. I'm maintaining yada, yada, yada,"
Hmm.
and to have to not only sit and wait, but then to wait and still say no, man,
Hmm.
that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um, but the community was really good about it. I done like trying to find like how to handle it because partner push is also a interesting sort of topic.
Hmm.
Whether you do one, whether you don't do one, some people are for it and against it. I wasn't super keen on it. The first like couple times, I didn't tell anybody
That's
that I
right.
applied.
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody to know.
Hmm.
Um, because I didn't want to set myself up for failure, and then I failed, and I failed anyway, so nobody really knew or had to care. And then when I like really went gun ho, I put it out there. I was tweeting it out. Everybody was so supportive, and then to
Hmm.
still get turned down, that was the worst. That was
Yeah.
like a year plus ago. After that, I had to like take a mental break, especially from 14 because I was playing 14 every day. I had to take a breather and figure out what went wrong. And then in May, well, it would have been May this year now. Um, I, well, I guess before that. So actually, by the time I got partner, it was within a week, which was nice,
Yeah.
refreshing instead of 6 weeks. Um, Revamped. I mean, I know I gave it to you. I revamped I did so much research,
Hmm.
um, down to what sort of things they might be looking for in the application. I worked so hard on that application. I
Yeah.
had you go over it. I sent it to, I remember I sent it to Sophie. I sent it to Haps. I'm like, I want you to read through this. I want
Hmm.
your experiences on it. If there's anything that fits, doesn't fit. And I got a lot of feedback and I changed it a couple times. And I'm actually pretty proud of how I set up that partner application. And then they still said no. Uh, and like, by the time I knew like my application was solid.
Yeah.
um I was still maintaining everything and they still said no. They said, try it. Basically they gave me it was November, or I can't remember the date. They're like, come back in a few weeks when partner application's eligible again. I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna wait. I'm like, I am doing everything. When that partner button to reapply comes up, I'm hitting it. And I
Yep.
did. As soon as it allowed it, I submitted it. I didn't
Smash
even
the
change my
button.
application.
Yes.
Didn't even change my application. I just submitted the same one I had, and then I got
Good.
it.
Because, I mean, let's be honest, the issue wasn't you. Like, you know it's not you.
Yeah, what a frustrating thing to do. And you know what? That's just my journey. To everybody's journey is so different when it comes to trying to achieve that. I will say mine was a slog. It was a pain in the ass. A lot for most of the time. I didn't really try to put stress on it, and then when I was actually trying to buckle in and focus on it, it was stressful as hell.
Yeah. I remember like we were talking and saying just like it was just like what the fuck, man? Like this is insane.
Yeah.
And I was saying this to just Amali like yesterday. The journey for partner feels so familiar for a lot of us. Like we go through
Mhm.
this really hard slog of applying. We wait forever, normally about 6 weeks, to hear back for a no,
Mhm.
and we know we're good, and we've maintained it for like months probably at that point, and then
Yeah.
there's this mental like both me and Amalia admitted like we've had mental breakdowns because of the partner process. Like
Yeah.
it's actually so stressful.
Yeah.
It's and
I
it,
mean, no, continue. Sorry.
it's just it's one of those things. It's like how do you even help other people to not get to that point? Because it's difficult, man. Like it's really hard.
Yeah. It's and especially like for I mean, obviously viewership plays a role. They say you don't have to have 75, but I've done applications where I've been 75 plus across the board and I had
Yeah.
that one little slump and they're like, "Ooh, no, not
Yep.
quite."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, "Are you kidding me?" But it's tough when you're borderline too because like I
Mm-hmm.
said, depending on your viewership, there's viewership where you can hold that 75 average but not by much. And even that was the
Mm.
case for me. I would hold 75 to 85 and then like you try not to obsess but like one slip and they'll use it as an excuse to be like, "Ooh, no, not quite. Try
Yeah.
again."
Yeah.
So for people who even just hover around that number, which was the case for me. I mean, I kept 75 to 80 plus, and that's all fine and good, but like that's not, compared to like 100 to 110, 120 if you're looking at numbers specifically, like that's you're borderline. It's just like one bad day with
Yeah.
one shitty average viewership and it's like, "Ooh, no, sorry,
Oh,
play
you're at
again. Ooh, better
74.9
luck next
viewers.
time. Yep. Oh, not quite, not quite.
Yep.
Try again in
Uh-huh.
3 weeks."
So the partner thing, we'll put that to one side. That's stressful
Hmm.
enough. So let's talk, like you've talked about how, you work full time, you try and get to the gym and stuff. Like how do you maintain self-care with all of this going on and streaming?
Um Oh
It's got to be
God.
hard. And I mean, how do you find the
Yeah.
time?
Self-care is tough, I guess. Thankfully, if we're looking like I said, the gym has been a lifesaver. I don't go every day. I'm trying to like make it more routine, just like streaming, just like work.
Yeah.
Um, so COVID really screwed that up for a while, but now that I'm able to go back, I try to go. I basically had to find a time to make it work.
Hmm.
Those of you who remember, even just a few months or earlier in the year, I used to start my stream at like 8:30.
Yeah.
Well, it was to the point where like I couldn't make the time to do it. Um, trying to take care of myself physically, trying to take care of myself mentally. Uh, I actually worked it out, and thankfully my job was accommodating. I didn't give them any details, so my shift, the night shift, is midnight till 8 a.m.
Hmm.
And then I'd be home and streaming by 8:30. And then by the time I finished stream, I had to go to bed because I had to be back up in like 8 hours.
Hmm.
Um, so I squeezed a little bit. I changed some stuff with work. I requested that I actually worked half an hour earlier, which doesn't seem like much. Um, but I changed my hours and they were fine with it. So I work 11:30 to 7:30 instead of 8. And then I pushed my stream hours from 8:30 to 9 a.m. So I had
Hmm.
that little bit of wiggle room. It's funny because even now, so I finish work. I go across town to get to the gym. I basically grant myself about a 40-minute window.
Hmm.
It's so micromanaged.
Oh my
About
God.
40 minutes to go get any exercise I can.
Hmm.
Um, come home, maybe have a quick shower, and then bam, stream starts.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Are you not
thank
exhausted?
yeah, it adds up sometimes.
Yeah.
I sleep a lot on the weekend, or I try to.
Hmm.
Um, But you know what? Even for such a small amount of time, I feel better physically. I feel better mentally. Uh, Even though I don't go like super hard in the gym, it's become the sort of place for me to be away from work, be away from stream, be away from everybody.
Yeah.
Um, Even if it's just for 40 minutes. Uh, and just get moving, get the blood going, and I find it helps me mentally. It has in the past. It's funny when I'm stressed, when I'm like lost in my head.
Hmm.
Um, the gym helps. I'll go and lift heavy stuff and pick it up and put it back down and burn out some crazy cardio and have like a nice long stretch. And I find it helps me. I feel better, even if my workout is crap. I always
Yeah.
feel better mentally, even just being in there. So it helps. It's not much, but I feel better doing it. I'm trying to make it more consistent. But other than that, just between that and trying to sleep and just taking little mental breaks here and there,
Hmm.
even on the weekends, to just take a breather from the computer. The other good thing is my job is very physically demanding,
Hmm.
so I walk a ton.
Yeah, you do.
Um, I easily put in like, I think I average about 18,000 steps a shift,
Dude,
something like that.
that's a
So I
lot.
do a ton of walking. I'm pushing
Hmm.
and pulling. It's physically demanding. So at least I'm up and moving every day. It's
Yeah.
something. Um, so even though it's work, yay. It keeps me going, keeps me moving, and keeps me active-ish. Um, Other than that, like I gotta take it where I can get it, basically. So unless I dedicate actual time to either make plans with friends or to do something else just outside of these. Like I have to schedule it. My schedule's become so tight
Yeah.
that it's like, do you want to hang out or do you want to go for a walk or do you want to go to the beach or whatever? Okay, well, are you good on Thursday between this hour and this hour? Okay, good. Sorry, stream. I'm not playing today.
Uh,
It's hard.
like you must not have time for other hobbies. Like there just must not be time.
No, I hardly play games outside of stream,
Yeah.
unless it's mobile games. I sneak in some Genshin and some DBD here and there.
Hmm.
Unless I'm streaming it, I don't have much time.
Do you like because of that? Like, do you feel like your relationship with games has changed? Do you
Sure,
feel more connected, or do you feel like some games that maybe were like 14, for example, you played before you started streaming? So like,
of
do
course,
you
yeah.
have those moments you're like, I just hate this game right now. I don't want to see it.
But, honestly, most of the time, no.
Hmm.
I felt a little bit of burnout from 14 this year, especially after pushing for partner.
Of
When I
course,
when
yeah.
I when I was pushing for partner, especially now that it's October, I made a push before I got accepted. October game, and my community's
Yes.
like, "Where's the spooky games?" I'm like, "There is no spooky games.
Oh,
I'm
that's
pushing for
right.
partner. I have to stay in 14.
Hmm.
If I even stray." Uh, so like I stayed super consistent, which really does help. So I would say during, especially now, like during this downtime leading into Endwalker and stuff,
Hmm.
I felt it a little bit because I was running out of things to do, and yet the community itself was totally thriving. It's such a weird thing right now.
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep doing what I'm doing. There's so many new people to meet and try and help, and yet from my content point of view, I've done most of it, not everything, but enough that I could step back, and I did. Ultimately, I did, and it's been totally worth it.
Hmm.
But no, most of the time I'm fine playing 14. I don't do it very much outside of stream, unless I'm doing something super tedious like gathering or if I
Fishing.
like want to do some like, yeah, if there's something I like want to accomplish, but it's not very engaging on stream. It's something that I could throw like Netflix on or
Yeah.
watch other streamers. I'll throw that on while I'm just like gathering and turning my brain off. But no, other than that, it's thankfully hasn't caused much burnout. I would say for the first time in the 4 years I've streamed, I would say this year, I probably felt a little bit of burnout, but not enough that I shut it down completely, but enough that I needed to just stimulate my brain and catch up in other games. There's so much I've missed.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of the last year, like, how has COVID impacted you at all?
From a streaming point of view, not at all. My schedule has not changed because of my job. I didn't get any time off. I've been, if anything, I've been busier
Hmm.
because of COVID. Uh,
Yeah,
So,
because we haven't actually said what is your job outside of streaming.
uh, so I work at a hospital.
Hmm.
I work full-time nights. My job is to order, supply, and provide the hospital with clean linen. That's what I do there. So every night I go in, I collect all the orders that I put in the previous night. Show up, basically big old carts of clean linen that I put in for every department in the hospital. I basically have to run them to each floor. I got to keep them fully stocked, and at the same time, I got to put in orders for the next night.
Hmm.
Um, Hence why I'm running around so much because I'm pushing these big ass carts while going from floor to floor to floor to floor.
Yeah.
Um, so I do that, and then COVID hit, and working at a hospital, it didn't. It
Ugh.
yeah, that was not a fun place to be the last
Mm,
couple years. Um, Morale there was awful.
I can
Um,
imagine.
I was kind of grateful that I was on night shift
Hmm.
because the stress of being around active COVID cases is scary.
Yeah.
Um, we were the building was an outbreak at one point, and like
Oh my
it was a
God.
nightmare. It was scary to at one point. Before this was before vaccines and stuff came out.
Hmm.
Um, so if anything, I was busier. My workload got heavier because of it. Um, so work became a total stress ball for a while, but now it's just kind of we're in a good spot right now. I'm very grateful where I live. We haven't been slammed like some other places have. So we on the big scale of things, we hardly uh compared to what you see on TV and some of these bigger hospitals getting completely bombarded and but
Yeah.
it was scary from even like a PPE perspective, things like that. It was a whole ugh, it was a stressful time.
Yeah.
But my routine wise didn't change. I still worked every day. I still came home and streamed. Streaming was relaxing. It was a nice break from being in that kind of atmosphere every night.
Yeah.
But from a Twitch perspective, honestly, like if we're talking like statistics and stuff like that, not
Hmm.
good.
Not
So many
good.
more people were engaging
Yeah.
in Twitch at the time.
That's right. Yeah.
I would say from my channel, if we're gonna go down that route, I would say COVID created more of a stagnation for me than anything else. I went from a bit of a thriving moment to kind of a halt. It was weird because a lot more people had time off. A lot more people were streaming themselves.
Hmm.
A lot more people had the time to, if they didn't want to stream, a lot of people were forced to be off work or at home or whatever. So they had time to do other things like play games and whatever else they got going on in their lives.
Hmm.
So from that perspective, I personally saw a bit of a stagnation from my point of view, but that doesn't matter. It's just how it was. What about yourself during how did you handle during the heaviness of COVID?
It, it was kind of crazy because not much changed. Like, I mean, I'm at the home. I'm in my house like pretty much
Hmm.
24/7. I live in these four walls. um,
Yeah.
so it was hard because I couldn't go anywhere. Like I couldn't go out for dinner with my husband. I couldn't just, get him to take me and go see my gran. I couldn't see, any of my friends. So from that perspective, from being home 95% of the time to 100, uh it definitely had an impact for sure. I think that I was able to deal with it quite smoothly because my husband worked from home full time, which meant I got to just sit right next to him pretty much every single day. Um, and we happen to like each other's company, so
Yeah, that's a plus.
yeah, like we loved it. And
Yeah,
now
it must have been nice
he's
having Melon at home.
yeah, oh, it was, it really was. And now he's back in the office. It's very strange not having him just right there.
Yeah,
Um, so I feel like it's kind of like being the reverse for me, I guess, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
sure.
So,
I
mm,
can't imagine some of the isolation that people probably felt during that
yeah,
time. I will say, like, as stressful as my job was, when we were like in the thick of it and like the town was shut down, you couldn't do or go anywhere. It
yeah,
was so weird being outside, especially even driving to work. I mean, I know
mm-hmm,
I drove, but like it's one thing to go to work at night, but to leave in the morning, Like usually I'm dealing with daytime traffic and stuff. Everybody who's starting their day because they're normies. It was dead.
They're
It was a
normies.
ghost town. Um, I will say from like I guess a mental point of view, I can't imagine some people having to be stuck inside. It's one thing to be off work, but to be stuck inside and not be able to go anywhere.
Yeah.
At least I could leave and go to work and socialize and bitch about work and stuff with other people and then go home.
Yeah.
So that interaction, I will say, even if it was minimal,
Mhm.
um, it did help. It did help to be able to leave every day, to keep busy. Um, so like I said, my routine and stuff, it did not slow down at all. If anything, I kept very busy
Mhm.
during that awful time period.
But we're starting to come out of the end of it, hopefully. Fingers
Yes,
crossed.
hopefully. Yes, please.
So what have you got planned for the future for your content creation? Like, do you have any goals?
Uh, um,
I know a lot of people are like, what's your goals for the next 5 years? And I'm like, I don't have goals. I
yay!
just want to stream.
Yeah, my goal is to still stream.
Yeah.
Um, goals, I would say to just better myself as content creator, I guess. Continue what I'm doing and hopefully making it work. Honestly, I want to keep building on the stream and I want to keep building on the community. I want to we spoke earlier about sort of community leadership and stuff. That's something
Yeah.
that I also strive to be if and when I can make the time. That's been the biggest hurdle for me is if and when I can make the time. A lot of it is side content too. I started dabbling with short-term content. A lot of the time, and I do think it's very true is how important your content is outside of streams.
Yeah.
Whether it be YouTube videos or podcasts. Oops, I'm hitting my mic. Um, or interaction on Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, that is something I hope to be better at, and it's not even really better. It's a having ideas that I want to put out there, and b making the time to do it.
Yeah.
From a realistic point of view, it's tough for me to even consider that type of content on the side.
Yeah.
So I've recently been more engaging in shorts. Um, Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels. Those have been a blast to kind of mess around with, and it's literally, it's short-term content. It's something for me to put out there.
Yeah.
It feels sort of very minimal, but at least I'm doing something with it. Other than that, I keep building on what I'm doing now, I guess. I mean, we hit the big partner thing, so I can check that off the list. Thank God. Um,
Phew.
yep. Um, I did my first charity streams this year, which was cool.
You
I held
did,
off for
yep.
a while doing that, and that was fun. And I look forward to squeezing in more of those over time. But
Mhm.
I think that's pretty much it. I don't have something super large set in stone. I think it's mostly just the usual stuff that most people want to do themselves. Create additional content outside of Twitch. Not only build up my own Twitch, build a stronger community, work on community leadership a little bit more if I can, better myself in my content and in game. Um, and I guess that's mostly it for now until I can think of something else.
It's
What
weird
about
because
you?
it's funny because like you say, having the ideas you want to put out there and then having the time. It it's I have like a couple of notebooks where I'll just scribble ideas down, and
Sure.
for the last like 2 years. So this podcast was an idea of 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then
Long time coming.
yeah, and then it was like a year ago I started to structure it, and then kept putting it off, and it's just one of those things. I think for me, like, I have the ideas, I just get scared to put them out there.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
It's nerve
I've definitely
wracking.
thought of stuff in the past where I'm like, oh, this will be kind of fun. And I don't write it down, or it'll be something I'll be thinking of at work. I'm like, this would be kind of cool to do.
Yeah.
And then, my week blurs together. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, I don't have time.
Yeah, like
Too late.
I was saying this to Amalia before. It's like the concept of time now that I'm a streamer, like, is lost. I don't get it anymore. I don't understand time.
No, no. And you know what? Time is super, super valuable in what you can make with what you got.
Mhm.
Um, I was thinking about that sort of concept of sort of time versus money, I guess, when I was thinking of work and everything like that.
Mhm.
Monetization, I guess. But um I recently spoke to like, so I've been making these shorts, and it's been super cool to just mess with editing software because I don't get the time to learn that stuff. That would be something I
Yeah.
can put my goals to, is be better at certain softwares that a lot of streamers need to use and be familiar with. But
Mhm.
I've also reached out to um editors who are willing to help, put that content together for you. And you know what? That's something that I also consider, at least in my point of view, is that I may not have time to actually edit this stuff, but
Mhm.
at least I can have somewhat of financial backing to have someone else do it if it saves me time, because
Yeah.
time is super precious to me right now.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm like the same. So I have the time, but I don't have the energy. So
Yeah.
I would happily pay someone to take their energy and do it rather than me doing
Yeah.
it because it's
Yeah. You
just
know what? I completely agree. It's, if you can make that work, and if someone
yeah.
has the time and you have the financial backing to make it work, I say go for it.
Yeah.
If they're going to help produce more content for you and take that sort of stress, or even just time, even if you know how to do it, you just don't have time to put it all together.
Mhm.
Um, I do think when you're at a certain point that that investments can be key.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd
So it's
be cool to
October.
do it myself, though.
I know.
Yes, it is October. October
Have you
1st.
got Halloween plans?
I do. Ish. Uh Halloween is my favorite time of year.
Yes.
Like I said earlier in the podcast, last October, I did not play anything scary because I was pushing for partner, and so I had to put that to the wayside.
Mhm.
Um, this month is gonna be nothing, big and outrageous. I want to squeeze in some games. A lot of people have been asking, "Okay, October's coming. What are you gonna play?" A lot of people want to see RE8. I'm been very
Yes.
patiently waiting to play. I haven't watched anybody stream it or nothing.
Oh my
So
god, you're gonna love it.
RE Village is going to be a big highlight for October.
Mhm.
Just coming up. Usually, I mean, honestly, it's just squeeze in a couple horror games that I didn't get to play or want to replay. A lot of it is Dead by Daylight content that I
Mhm.
don't make time for as much. Other than that, I do have a charity stream coming up in this month.
Nice.
I'm still finalizing the dates, but it's for Gamers Outreach. They're doing a spooky month sort of thing. It's all month long, so a bunch of people are fundraising. I'm going to be participating in that, um, and so I'll be doing something horror adjacent. I'm pretty sure I'll be doing Dead by Daylight stuff.
Nice.
Um, Other than that, movie night. We just announced here, which I know you know, in Discord, we announced our first sort of spooky movie nights. It's been something we talked about last year. Remember, you and me talked about,
Yeah.
watching Halloween movies or whatever, just some more community engagement stuff.
Mm.
So I'm finally doing it
Yes.
tomorrow, actually. So the first night's tomorrow, and hopefully everybody enjoys just hanging out, watching movies. We're gonna do some spooky stuff there, and I think
That's
that's pretty much it. Oh, that's not true.
oh.
Dark Pictures game comes out soon.
Yeah,
Of
so
course.
excited. Hashtag
Multi-murder with Rogue.
murder. I'm
Of
so
course.
excited.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We've now made it a tradition.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to that. So yes, we will be planning that sometime in October, of course.
Yeah, I'm
What
really
about you?
excited.
Spooky time.
Well, what have I got planned for Halloween? I don't know. I want to play. I keep saying I'm going to play a Halloween game like Resident Evil. Everybody keeps telling me to play Resident Evil, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm a big chicken. So I don't know. I'm definitely going to play, obviously, House of Ashes, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know, because it's coming out to Endwalker and Shin Megami Tensei is coming out,
Uh-huh.
and obviously House of Ash. I'm just like, okay, so do I finish Final Fantasy VII Remake? This
I
been
know.
like 18 months I've been sitting with it, not finished.
It is tough. It's tough to line that stuff up. Honestly,
Yeah,
making a schedule, especially for those who do variety and stuff. I mean, as
yeah.
someone who regularly plays 14 and stuff, I can like no brain it. There's some mornings where I'm coming home and turning on 14. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing
Mm,
today, but I know what I'm
yeah.
playing.
Mm-hmm.
But to balance these games in between, especially if you have regular content on the side, and
Mm-hmm.
especially those of us who are very much engaged in 14 and Endwalker being right around the corner. It's
Yep.
how do you balance your content right now? And I don't know. I'm still gonna be playing it's not like I'm gonna be playing no 14 for all of October. So I'm still playing 14, of course, but I'm gonna make time here and there. I'm grateful for a game like Dead by Daylight where we can have a couple laughs and a couple spooky moments, and that's something that I can pick up, play, and put away. And I
Yeah.
don't have to commit to it I can hang out and do it for a few hours. So really I think I'm just considering a couple single player games. RE8 Village is a yes. Other than that, I was thinking, well, we have Dark Pictures, which you and I can pretty much bang out in a day.
Yep.
And other than that, like I was considering like Evil Within. I was considering Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill.
I know.
Oh,
That'd be so good. It's really just like picking a day and just going for it.
Yeah. One of these long weekend days where you can stream it for like 12 hours and pretend that you don't sleep forever, that you don't need it.
That's what I just did with Bravely Default 2. We finished Bravely Default 2 last weekend, and of course, every finale of every single player game I play turns into like a 15-hour stream because I just want to get it finished.
Well, guys, I'm finishing it though.
Yeah, that was a long game. Actually, it wasn't too long. It was a blast to play, but like I felt bad because like again it was all scheduling. I'm like I could drag this out for so long. I'm like, but I have other things to do. October's coming.
Yeah,
I gotta get this finished. And then last Saturday I think I streamed for 12 and a half hours.
Oh my god,
got it finished. So
yeah, I finally finished the third Nonary games. I was so proud of myself. And then I looked back at my game library. I was like, yep, Final Fantasy 7 still sitting there. It's like half played, but then I look at like Persona 5 and I'm like, oh, that's gonna take me like 120 hours to complete.
Huge commitment, but it's so worth it.
I know. And then I've started Near Replicant off stream and New World. I'm like, I'm clearly off my head.
How is New World? Tell me a little bit about it.
It's good. It's a little like, it's not really story driven from what I can tell. It's more just like,
it didn't seem like it.
No, it's a bit grindy, which I don't mind per se. It's very different for me because this is my second MMO that I've ever played.
Yeah, what's that like? Playing more than one MMO?
I don't.
What's that like?
Well, I don't. It's crazy because you know that you can't leave. You know that you've got no time, but you can't leave. But like, it's very different from 14, and I do think that I love 14, but it has spoiled me rotten. Because like when I look at Final Fantasy 11, I'm like, I don't want to. I look at WoW, I don't want to.
That's what I did.
But yeah, I went
back to it, and I'm like, where's the quest markers? There are no quest markers. You got to figure it out yourself. I'm like, what?
I know.
Stupid. How did people do this before Google?
I don't know, but
yes, I was spoiled by 14.
Yeah, the community and all the resources with 14, plus the dev team and what they do for quality of life, and they're just constantly upgrading it for us and making us even more spoiled brats. Which is fine.
Thank you. We love you, 14 devs.
We do. So, tell me or tell everyone where they can find you.
Sure. Well, mostly you can find me on Twitch. Twitch.tv/TequilaShots1500. I recently put in a name change to try to get rid of the 1500. They said no.
Really? Oh my god, I was about to ask you.
I know. Oh yeah, that was something I wanted to ask you too before we get totally sidetracked on this. Speaking of name change, Liliana.
I know.
Are you enjoying the name change?
I love it. I really love it. It was so strange because like my name was created randomly like 9 years ago because I've been with my husband now 9 years. And I created the name Rogue Flame on Steam so that I could try League of Legends
oh boy.
to try and impress Melon at the time.
No. I think it worked.
I'm so cringe. I don't think it worked at that point, but yeah. So when I created that name, like I just carried it forward when I started watching Twitch. So it was like rogue__flame, and I wanted to get rid of the underscores.
Yep.
So I was the Rogue Flame, and then everyone kept referring to me as a dude. So then I added the miss, And it confused people because they're like, but you're married. And I'm like, shut up, it doesn't matter.
Oh my
so,
god, yes.
so I was fine with, like, the name Rogue has been with me for so long that I'm so used to it. But then when people would call me Flame, I'd be like, that doesn't feel right.
I don't like that
I don't
either.
like it. So
Yeah.
I chose Rogue Liliana after a lot of back and forth with my mods team and my husband to try and figure out what would best suit. And we were almost going to go with something else, which I wouldn't say, but we always went with something else, and then it just came up that Liliana was available, and it's a mixture of, well, the name Liliana I love because it's my favorite planeswalker in Magic the Gathering.
Okay. I
Liliana
wondered
Vess, she's a
where that
necromancer.
inspired from. Okay, cool.
Yeah, she's a necromancer in Magic the Gathering. I freaking love her. But it's also part of the Lily name branching, I suppose. So Lily is my grand's favorite flower, so it like had double meaning, and I freaked out, and I was like, I have to have it. So I stole it before anyone else took it, and thankfully, it's really hard. Like when you're trying to figure out names that don't already exist online.
Yeah.
Like, being we're the generation now of everyone's online, so. God. I got lucky with the original name I was going to choose, which was nobody had, and then this one, so.
I think it worked out well.
Yeah.
I think Liliana, and I can think of White Mage. Blood for the blood, Liliana.
It works so well.
As a White Mage Wayne, I think it works.
Yeah, for sure. And it's I kind of like think to myself now, I'm like, I can have Rogue as like the healer. She's all white and she's pure. And then you can have Liliana. She's like all dark and.
Hell yeah.
I kind of want to do that. I think that could be so cool. So I'm going to get a new outfit and I'm going to make it all like cool and gothy and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, that's I think that's super cool that you can kind of balance those things and have different sort of almost personas that come with the name and stuff. So
yeah,
I think
hashtag Gemini.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
So do you think you'll change your name to something else?
Probably not. No. I don't know. We looked into it and like the name doesn't exist on Twitch. So honestly, I probably won't because my name has always generated and sparked conversation. Yeah. It always has. Whether it be in random streams or in 14. Obviously, my Twitch game came from my 14 character. And that's something that I like. It's so funny to get whispers about like, or even just like in party chat, I'll be in something if I'm in game, and people love to comment on it, whether they're like, "Hell yeah, it's shots time," or like, "Oh god, it's tequila, I'm gonna puke."
That's how
it's
feel.
Funny. Yeah, it sparks puke. The fact that it sparks conversation. Yeah. And you know what? And like I said, even in Twitch chats, whether they're people I know or people I don't know, I'm just chatting and visiting somebody new, and they see the name, they're like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So it worked from a.
Everyone always has that reaction.
Sorry, go. Yeah. No, so I mean it's whatever, but it works from. I've been making it work as a sort of brand. You know, in my mind, all I can think of now is like everybody's got a tequila story, whether it's about me or the actual bottle.
That's true.
But now I don't plan on changing it. I don't even know what I would change it to. I thought if I could, I'd get rid of the numbers. The numbers aren't a big deal. It just sucks for branding all over the place. Whether, like I said, like TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to maintain across the board. So it's sort of hit and miss, but I'll take it.
Well, I guess like in terms of names and stuff like that, like what would be your biggest piece of advice to people who are looking to create a brand and become, you know, a proper content creator as a business?
Well, I don't fall into this category, but something brand safe would probably make sense. Something simple, not too many. If you can refrain from underscores and numbers and stuff, then that's your best route. But it happens. Simplified, something readable, and if you can think of something catchy along the way, then that's great. Like I said, I will. To me, I find it works for me, and for my personally, I found my name stands out. It's the fact that it's generated engagement and reaction just by reading it and seeing it, to me knows that it's something that sticks and something that works. Um, it's tough. It's tough making a name, and whether you want to make it something more personable or something totally random that's doesn't even have a meaning. A lot of people's names are or like, what's your origin of your name? And it's like, I don't know. I like tequila.
I got drunk one night.
Oh, yeah, I got drunk and I made a username. So, it doesn't have to be something super intricate. And I think something that's simpler is better.
Yeah.
And hope that it lands something that either rolls off the tongue or catches the eye or is visually appealing to read. Obviously refrain, like I said, from, XX tequila shots 420 XX underscore, avoid all that shit if you can. But
yeah. Unless you're a smart arse and you want to get banned.
Yeah.
And do a Google search. Google search your
Yes,
name.
do
for
a Google
God's
search.
sake.
Definitely look and see what pops up. Whether, or even just look in the other space. I think there's actually websites where you can type in certain usernames and see if it's already been claimed on A, B, C, or D.
Oh, really?
I think there's something like that that exists. So it's something you can build. That's the other thing. If it's something that you can build consistently across other platforms, if it's something that you can use for branding elsewhere. So, I mean, the Tequila Shots works. The 1500s hit and miss. Like on Twitter, I'm TequilaShots150 because there's no room for another zero. And I can't do Tequila Shots because it's already claimed. Yeah, there's no space for another zero.
I didn't know
and
that.
I can't get rid of the numbers, so I can't do just Tequila Shots. So now I'm just 150. So it's close enough. Close enough.
So it's funny because like when I was picking my name, I couldn't go with Miss Rogue because I wanted it to be consistent around all platforms that I was using, even platforms that I wasn't using. I was like, I don't want to start using it later and suddenly the name is Miss someone else. So I looked at there was like a Miss Rogue was my original name that I wanted to have because it was obviously you're just chopping part of it off. But yeah, there's people already have that name on Instagram and Twitter. And I was like, but it's mine, please.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough thing. And like at the time of making my name, I wasn't even streaming that. And so it wasn't even me making a brand for myself. It was just, it was my 14 character that is brought to Twitch. And then it just went from there.
So to wrap things up, tell everyone where they can find you and what you're planning on doing next.
Okay. So like I said, if you don't know my name by now, as we just talked about, it's TequilaShots1500 1500 proof. Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I've been putting little things here, there, and everywhere. Most of the time you can find me on Twitch and Twitter. I'm probably the most active on, I guess. But yeah, you can find me in all those spaces, and of course, you can find me in the Discord communities and stuff like that as well. What I planned next? More video games. 14 Endwalker Prep. It's basically at this point, it's Endwalker Prep. It's spooky games. We got community movie night coming up tomorrow. So if you're not in the Discord, join there if you want to watch the movies. Other than that, that's pretty much going to be my October charity stream coming up. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on the 16th, but I don't want to confirm that because I'm not 100% sure on that date, but I will be doing some charity stuff. And that's pretty much going to be my October. Once we hit November, it's all about Endwalker. So lots of 14 content. Whether I choose to try and make some outside content, mini guides, or even just shorts and stuff, look for me on those spaces, but mostly find me on Twitch. You stream daily, usually 9 a.m. Although I've been doing some raiding in the evenings on Tuesday through Thursday ish. But yeah, if you like 14 or if you like spooky stuff, that's pretty much what my content will mostly be for the next month or so.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Glad we got to catch up and chat.
Yeah, I could have done this for like another hour easily.
Yeah. We didn't need the podcast. We could have just done this. Podcast is a bonus.